Hey everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. This fashion edition is all about festive colors. We have seen Catherine the Princess of Wales in some really bright and beautiful reds, of course, a total power color for her, but she also wears green so well. She's had some really fabulous green looks. Not all of these are necessarily winter or Christmassy looks, they just happen to be reds and greens. We've also seen similar colors from the Meg, some less successfully done though. A couple of these looks from the Meg I have never reviewed on my channel before, so this is going to be a fun one. Let's kick things off with this fabulous green look from Catherine the Princess of Wales. At the time, she was Duchess of Cambridge and visiting Ireland with Prince William. This pleated silk crepe de chine retro-style dress draws from the 80s with a high neckline, long sleeves, pin-tucked bodice, and peplum waist. It's a graceful silk dress finished with crystal-embellished buttons. The coat is lovely as well. It's by Catherine Walker, and the headband is perfect. I absolutely love this headband. It's like a velvety green headband. It's gorgeous. It matches her shoes perfectly. Some have mentioned this to be kind of a questionable look for her. I think it was just really busy. The pattern is pretty bright and intense, and the silhouette of it's kind of intense. But if anybody was going to be able to rock this look, it would have been her. The little peplum that it has, it was really flattering to her figure, though it could have stood to be just a little bit more graceful because it looks almost like a pleated peplum, and those can be just difficult to wear for anybody. I think despite it being a little bit like over the top in some ways, like it is really bright, it is really bold, and it's got a lot going on, I still think it was a really fun and interesting choice. First, I thought, okay, either this silhouette or this pattern would have been fine on their own, but together it's maybe a little too much. The more I look at it, the more I think that the busy pattern actually complements the dramatic cut because it keeps your eye moving. In a solid style, like a solid color, it might look more chunky, this silhouette, even frumpy. But with the pattern, it leans it into a more playful look and it encourages the eye to keep moving. But what do you guys think? I know this one's going to be really polarizing. I'm not saying my personal opinion on it, just looking at it from a critique perspective, that's where I'm at on it. What do you think? And here we have a pattern in red this time. I love this coat. This double-breasted houndstooth check swing coat is from Catherine Walker & Co. It's knee length and has a collar, and it's finished with oversized glossy red buttons. She actually got this when she was pregnant and then had it tailored in to be able to be worn after the pregnancy, which was a really smart idea. We've seen her do this with several of her pregnancy coats. I really love the almost retro vibe that this coat has. It's such a bright, fun pattern, and the length is keeping it fresh and preppy, and it really leans into the fun, playful side of this pattern. But now, let's pivot to a bad pattern. The Meg wore this atrocious dress. At first glance, it's like a bit of an odd choice, but it doesn't seem so bad at first. Obviously, the outfit looks really incongruous, but at first it just doesn't seem as bad as it really is. When you look at this, it's a hugely inappropriate choice for a royal or for a professional in a professional setting at all. When she wore this, she was on a professional engagement with Prince Harry. This was not a paparazzi shot on a day off where they were going out to dinner or something like that. No, this was when she was with the royal family on a formal engagement, which meant it should have been a professional dress. But it's decidedly not professional because these cutouts that are in almost like a chevron or like a triangular pattern on the rib cage, they're cutouts with like fishnet. So it's not even like mesh where it's like a really fine gauge, almost like nylons or something. No, it's fishnet. It's literal fishnet in these cutouts. So it's basically bare skin with fishnet. Like, that's just so not professional at all. And then it's got these frills under the bust and kind of off to the side, which I don't find to be very flattering on really anybody. I especially don't find it flattering on the Meg, who has that wider waistline. It just adds weight there that she doesn't need. Now, somebody who's really rather narrow and rectangular or hourglass with a very thin waist, no matter your shape or proportions, if you have a defined waist, you can get away with something like pleat flaps on your waistline or rib cage area without it widening things or looking out of balance. The Meg is not one of those categories. She doesn't fall into one of those categories for her body type, so this doesn't work for her in terms of flattering her figure, like at all. It doesn't flatter her figure. So even if she had worn it in a casual setting, just on a day off or something, it still wouldn't have been a good choice for her in terms of flattering her figure. It also doesn't really vibe with this blazer because it has all these ruffles and things going on in here. Even though the black ties into the pattern, they just don't go well together. They don't match in their vibe. I think a cardigan would have been a way better choice. Like a black cardigan would have had the softness and movement to tie it into the pleating and flowiness and frilliness of the dress and not compete with it so much. And she could have, quite frankly, buttoned it closed so as to not show off the frills or the mesh fishnet cutouts that were so inappropriate. But she put on this chunky blazer that has no movement, and it just made this outfit look bad. Next, we have another green number, but this one is also quite polarizing. Catherine the Princess of Wales wore this green dress for the Earthshot prizes last year, I think it was. I really like this one, despite the color being a little jarring. I think she pulled it off okay, in part thanks to her great figure, but she clearly also has a good base layer on to avoid any lumps or bumps or obvious undergarment lines like a strapless bra line or anything like that. It's all camouflaged nicely, which means she had a good base layer on. But the thing about this that I like so much, I think, is that the accessories and jewelry just matched it perfectly. And it was such a bright new color for her as well. She looks really great in green, and this particular dress accentuated her waist really nicely with its thicker band. Not everybody could pull this dress off, like, let's be honest, but she looks really nice in it. It also gave a nod to the Earthshot Prize event, not only in color, but by being a sustainable choice. She rented the gown, and it set a good example of reducing textile waste without having to say it. And the choker is just super, super cool to wear that choker and how well it matches. It really allowed also, because the dress is so simple, its lines are clean, sleek, and simple. It allowed for the choker to become a focal point for the dress rather than the dress itself, because you take in the dress, the waistband catches your eye ever so slightly, the color is quite bright, but really your eye just comes right back to the choker and your eye will rest at the choker, which is the focal point of the outfit. And that's really, really nice. Also, when you think about the balance of it and elevating a piece, wearing a dress that is rented for, I think it was like $90 or something like that, the rental for this dress. Don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure. But renting the dress, but then elevating it with this really expensive, beautiful, priceless choker really takes it to another level without it being like ostentatious or competing with each other in any way. And she wasn't wearing the jewelry just to wear the jewelry. She brought it along as a complement to this dress, and the look overall flows really, really nicely. On to one of my favorite red coat looks from Catherine the Princess of Wales. We have St. David's Day Parade. This is marvelous. I chose this for today's video in part because the accessories, again, are so spectacular. Top marks. These gloves are so chic. And it's little details like these that can really make or break an outfit, which is what we can take away from it in terms of good styling. You don't have to have something that's so obvious or so intense or do it all at once with outfits. You can have something small and subtle like the cutouts on the back of these gloves, which really gave an edge to the outfit and elevated the outfit. And it's a detail that we do notice. It's obvious enough to notice, but it's not taking over the look. It's not distracting, and it doesn't not go with the look. Like, we've seen some people, either non-successful red carpet looks from various celebrities or even the Meg, pair things together for no real good reason. There's nothing tying it all together. The elements of the outfit, the jewelry, accessories, they compete with each other where you don't know what to look at and your eyes just bouncing around all over because there's too much going on, or they just don't flow nicely. They're not getting along. It's not cohesive. This is not either of those things. This is doing it right. It all matches. It's very simple, black and red, but you have this interesting detail of the cutouts and the hat that echo each other's vibe a little bit. It's a little bit edgy, but it adds interest that really works nicely. And it's also a good example of sometimes when you need something like an accessory that's gonna go with everything. It's gonna be basic. Something black, for example, like gloves or even a handbag. Picking something that has a texture change as its interest allows it to be elevated, more interesting, more fabulous, without bringing in an element that's going to cause competition. So instead of getting a bag that's black and patterned or has all sorts of embellishments on it, something that has an interesting texture or stitching bringing the intricacy rather than a color change or a hardware change can allow it to be more versatile and non-competing in outfits, but still elevate the outfits and add that interest that's really, really valuable when putting together outfits, especially in neutrals. These gloves really enhanced the look overall, and this hat, I absolutely love it. It was a perfect choice for the day too, the occasion. It all mirrored each other really nicely. It's a very bright, vibrant color. Love this look. This dress we have also seen on Princess Beatrice as well as Catherine, Princess of Wales. This is a vampire's wife falconetti dress. It goes for £1,600 and I quite like it. It's very shiny. It's full of texture. Notice how simple it is except the ruffling along the hem and sleeve ends, which prevent it from being too busy with this interesting texture and fabric. Shiny fabrics like these, or metallic-y type things with sheen, satins, stuff like that are also not like stiff and strong. These types that have flow and movement to them but are really shiny can be really tricky at times. Catherine's is successful here, in my opinion, because her figure allows for that flexibility. Shine and sheen of this nature can accentuate curves, which also means curves you may not want to accentuate, which can result in a widening effect in the dress. You would look wider or heavier in the dress that's shiny versus the exact same dress in a matte finish at times. It's not that you can't wear shiny fabrics if you don't have a slender figure. It's just you have to be prepared for the fact that it may look a little more widening on you if you are not particularly slender. That's all. Just be prepared for it so that you don't look in the mirror and start feeling bad. Why don't I look good in this? Or why do I look fat in this? You don't. It's just the shine can pick up on curves and play them up, so to speak, to the eye and exaggerate them in a way. The only thing I will say here is I wish she would have gone for black accessories. I don't feel like the gold earrings and clutch necessarily go as good as like black would have, because in the shine of the dress, it almost looks like the negative space is black. That's sort of like what it's reading. So I feel like black accessories would have been a better choice, but I get why she went for gold because she was on a trip to Ireland at the time. So she was probably trying to go lean into those colors, which it's fine. I just think I would have chosen black if it were me. Overall, I quite like the dress, and I particularly like how the sleeve has a bit of a sheen to it. Now, as you can see here on Princess Beatrice, it looks like it might be ever so slightly different. So Catherine may have had some of the ruffling taken down a notch, so it wasn't quite as dramatic, for example. And I haven't seen the backside of this dress on Catherine, the Princess of Wales. On Princess Beatrice, it looks to have a rather large bow. I would have probably forgone the bow if I were Beatrice. Now, here's a really fabulous, interesting texture as well, but in red this time. Ruby-hued tulle midi dress from Marchesa was embellished with lattice work, rosettes, and a bead and crystal waistband. It is beautiful. It is interesting. The way the fabric is and the embroidery on it, it doesn't look quite as cohesive as I think they wanted it to. And the belt is a little bit at an awkward length. I think that a wider waistband would have been more flattering to her figure, but overall, I still like this dress on her. She still looks lovely and beautiful in it. Interest of the lattice work is really, really nice, and it's, again, another example of how when you have a monochrome look, you can allow the texture and embellishments to be the interest. So it's a really successful approach in general. And despite the dress not necessarily being perfect, it's still very beautiful. We cannot proceed without mentioning this original Nightmare Boobs red dress disaster. Again, I know we've been over this dress a lot, but this is the original travesty from the Meg, the biggest, most universally known fail. Nobody thinks this was a good look. I can't find many people. Occasionally there's a couple in my comments that are like, this dress is pretty anyway. It's really not. This dress is bad. It's poorly constructed and it's a poor match for her in terms of body type, which is nothing new. At this point, we know and expect her to make really questionable fashion choices. But this particular garment has so many like cardinal sins in terms of fashion and dress construction, I'm really quite surprised that it was made or that she was allowed to wear it at all, because it's just a disaster. First, her boobs. They look so saggy in this, and they have inverted nipple darts. This is not a good option for darts. You will not see this type of cup construction or dart situation on very many dresses at all, if any. I don't think I've seen it from any other designer. Carolina Herrera did it to Tracee Ellis Ross. They were trying this like weird sort of petal cup. The problem is that it ends up looking like an inverted nipple, like a screwed up dart. It's not flattering. I don't think I've seen it on like any other designer's work, and there's a reason for it. It was a bad idea. Then we have another cardinal sin in fashion, and that is a deep cut in the neckline paired up with a deep slit from the bottom. You never want to split somebody like this because it makes this like butterfly effect to the silhouette, and it's just not flattering. You do one or the other, never both. Like literally, never. It's never a flattering option. It widened her so much. It was too tight because it caused a back fat spill, and she wasn't heavy. She's a thin woman. It shouldn't have happened. Just plain and simple. There should not have been back fat spilling out of this garment. The bustle type thing was reminiscent of a detachable skirt, but it wasn't actually a detachable skirt. It's a confused and bad garment, plain and simple. But I recently saw this look from Princess Diana, and that's why I included this in today's video, because now I feel like I get why the Meg put this horrendous garment on and wore it so happily, because she was reminded of her obsession, which is Princess Diana. She's clearly quite fixated on this woman. She copies her outfits in a really creepy sort of way. Like she does it all the time, and she does it too closely to where it's not paying homage, it's direct copying in a weird way. Like take this off the shoulder thing for a quick tangent here, quick pit stop to this off the shoulder twist top thing that she wore. This was, correct me if I'm wrong, the last photo shoot Princess Diana ever had, and she wore this top. So that gave the fact that Meghan wore it an almost eerie vibe that she would wear it, because you would think out of respect you would let that be a little bit more sacred for your spouse because of the significance of it, and you wouldn't infringe upon it or try to copy it. You know, like maybe copying some other stuff or paying homage in some other ways, but maybe not this particular look because of the significance of it being the last known photo shoot that she did. But this particular garment was not flattering for the Meg in any way, shape, or form. It widened her shoulder line so dramatically, made it look like she had no boobs when she already has really small ones. It just erased them, essentially, and in a lopsided fashion, made them look uneven and erased, if that's even possible. Apparently it is. It widened her overall waistline as well. And it shortened her waistline even more, making her look even more short-waisted. So she made herself look like a literal square torso in an unflattering manner. And it was kind of inappropriate to copy or emulate the same exact top as Princess Diana. It's also questionable how she even managed to do this. I have never seen this top for sale anywhere. There was no information of it being for sale on any outlets anywhere. Nothing was reported on it in terms of where somebody could buy it, you know, the way media likes to do that to make some commission off of clicks and stuff. None of that. So that would indicate it's quite likely Meghan had it commissioned, had it made. She had somebody make her this, which makes it even more weird that she went that far out of her way to copy it. It's so bizarre. But back to the red dresses. So look at this from Diana. It's got these straps coming down almost in like a halter strap situation on top of the dress that comes across this way. Now, obviously there's a lot of differences between this and what the Meg wore, but parts of it give a little bit of the similar vibe, with the straps being similar in width and at an angle. Obviously it's opposite angles. And the fact that it's a red dress, I could see Meg seeing this Carolina Herrera dress and thinking, yes, and seeing in her mind's eye this dress from Diana, and that pushing her to go ahead and make this dress work as best she could to wear it for those reasons, despite it really not working for her. I am grasping at straws a little bit here because I simply do not understand how the Meg, even though we know she is fashion challenged, would put this on and think, yes, this looks great. It didn't. It made her belly look huge. It was puckering all over the place. It was a disaster. It was a disaster. So perhaps this loose connection that it somewhat resembled this look from Diana was part of it. I don't know. As for this dress on Diana, I don't particularly like it. I feel like the halter strap thing looks a bit awkward, and she didn't necessarily benefit from the shoulder detailing as it created a little bit of a top-heavy silhouette for her. Similar to the revenge dress, when Princess Diana wore things that were off the shoulder or strapless, it did widen her shoulder line quite a little bit and create a little bit of a top-heavy effect. So I don't particularly like this dress for her. I think if it didn't have that weird halter strap thing, it would have been better. But perhaps she was having trouble getting it to stay or something and it needed the halter strap. That's the trouble with off-the-shoulder and strapless things, isn't it? It's really hard to get them to stay up. Ladies who have a very small chest say, I don't have enough there to hold it up. Ladies with a big chest say, my boobs are too heavy to let it hold up, to have it stay up. They just weigh down the dress and I'm falling out of it. So, there's really very, very few in-between sizes that can successfully find that balance to get strapless and off-the-shoulder looks to really stay up nicely and not look like they're falling down. But so perhaps that's why it had the straps added, but it's just not my favorite. I like the dress without the halter strappy thingy, or if it just had normal sleeves. Like, let's just go ahead and have normal, short sleeves, and this dress would have been really nice for Diana. Next up, we have Catherine the Princess of Wales in this beautiful lacy green dress. This is stunning. This elongates her very much. Not that she needs it, but because the waistband is actually a little bit higher up on her waist. Now, she has a well-defined waist that is also long. She's almost a little bit long in the torso, but really it's quite balanced between her leg and torso from what I can see looking at collections of pictures of her. But she has height, so she's got plenty of room for her waistline to breathe. It's nice and defined for a few inches there. It's, she's got a good waist. So that means that there's some flexibility in terms of where the waistband hits. When it's up a little bit higher, it makes her look so tall and long and elongated because it gives more length to her leg. And anytime we do that, it tends to make us look taller, particularly in dresses and whatnot. The times where it doesn't work is if you are short-waisted, because you often have a slightly less well-defined waist if you're also short-waisted, because it's just more compact, so to speak. So you tend to have a slightly wider or shorter definition space to your waist. So you can't really get away with higher waistbands on dresses as easily if you're quite short-waisted. But here we don't have that going on with Catherine. It looks really, really nice and elongating to her. She doesn't necessarily need any elongation. The belt would have looked fine lower as well, but it just looks really beautiful and elegant here. And that's what stands out to me at first. It's like, wow, she just looks so statuesque and tall. I absolutely love the lace, the sheer lace detailing. Those sleeves look like just perfectly fitted, absolute dream. And that's what you need when things that are mesh or sheer, those sorts of fabrics on your sleeves, you don't want too much room in there unless they're actually designed to be like a bishop sleeve, like a puff and cuff type sleeve. Now, I love this lace and it's just a beautiful romantic look, but I do not like the shoes that she chose this time. They look to be a gold or silvery type of look, but they almost look strappy in some of these pictures. I'm not sure. I believe she's traveling for this. This was a few years ago. So perhaps something happened and she had to substitute out her shoes last minute. Just seem a little out of place. That's all. What do you guys think though? Leave it in the comments. Overall, this look is amazing. Now we have one of Meghan Markle's best looks ever. This is a green colored look as well. And this, you guys, is exactly what she should be wearing. I'm not sure exactly when this was, but this was during her stint with the royal family. I wish I had better full-length pictures of her in this or more pictures of. It's a simple, sleek dress with nothing drawing your eye to the waistline whatsoever. On the contrary, your eye is drawn exclusively up to the neckline. This keyhole with the twist of the fabric creates a lot of interest and adds a little bit of texture up here, a little bit of visual weight up here, which is exactly what the Meg needs for her figure. She needs to draw the eye somewhere other than her waistline. And she tends to benefit by not exaggerating her shoulder line at all, which this one does not. And she also tends to benefit from drawing the eye up closer to her face rather than her legs, because her legs can sometimes look a little thinner or longer in proportion to her torso, which can look out of balance to us. So it's a really smart choice for her. Like, the best number one go-to solution for her would be to draw the eye to the neckline area. So the fact that this dress has nothing else catching your eye makes it exactly what she needed. The only complaint that I have is that she did wear a necklace underneath. So in the keyhole, you can kind of see this necklace poking through. And that's just not generally the best approach, because things move around. Then it ends up just looking a little cluttered rather than like, oh, cute, you have a little peekaboo necklace situation happening. It doesn't really work. And to one of my all-time favorite looks on Catherine the Princess of Wales is this beautiful, simple outfit that literally any of us could buy and wear. Now, this outfit in particular is going to be most flattering on anybody who's comfortable in pleated skirts and likes the way they look on them, anybody with an hourglass figure or a well-defined waist, those who have good amount of length to their torso as well, or anybody who's just simply comfortable having a little bit of a focal point be the waistline. So if you're not comfortable with that, this outfit might not work for you, but for anybody who is comfortable with that or fits any of those, this is going to be so flattering on you, and it's an outfit literally all of us could copy if we wanted. It's a Ralph Lauren cashmere turtleneck and a Christopher Kane pleated skirt in a perfectly matching hue. I am just obsessed with this look on her. It's so streamlined, it's so flattering, and these simple, clean looks are really elegant and professional, but still very approachable. It's the power of monochrome, and I really enjoy building a wardrobe around monochrome looks because you can mix and match them, and you can incorporate pattern really easily when you have some good monochrome pieces to start with. So I feel that they're a really valuable wardrobe addition. And when you put together a monochrome look, you can play a little bit with your accessories, even scarves, coats, things like that, but especially shoes, jewelry, and handbags. You can play around with them a little bit more easily when you have a monochrome look because you don't have as much to compete with and to figure out as if you have patterns where it's like, can I match it with this? Can I match it with that? It's a little easier with monochrome sometimes, but it also just has this elegance to it. It looks more graceful. It looks so put together, and it's very streamlined. Monochrome can be very slimming and very elongating. So even if you're not 100% confident that you would like having that thicker waistband kind of draw the eye to the waist a little bit, or if you're not super confident in slim fit tops or pleated skirts, you feel they're widening to you, you may not feel that way in a monochrome look like this one. Those concerns may melt away because they do tend to elongate and slim you down. It's so streamlined and perfect. It's a very flattering style of outfit, the monochrome looks are. And at first glance, I wasn't totally sold on the gold and caramel almost colored accessories, the purse and the pumps, but she had gold jewelry. Gold and red are great pairing. And gold heels would not have worked. That would not have looked nice if she had gold high heels on. That would not have worked with the look. So I think she actually struck a perfect balance here with these accessory choices. Because it's a very warm caramely color and the bag has gold hardware on it. So it does tie in really nicely. Now for my number one pick from today's video is this Jenny Packham ball gown. This is a spectacular dress. It is so well balanced and beautiful. I absolutely love it. It is a perfectly glittering, gorgeous gown, and it makes a perfect holiday look, even though she didn't wear it on the holidays. The movement and texture and the glitter, all in the same color tone, is preventing it from looking overwhelming. The shoulder ruffles are balanced to the tulle skirt, and the sleek hairstyle and simple jewelry are not competing, even with her badge and brooch. It accentuates her waist beautifully. It looks like a pleasure to wear, a dream to dance in. It is a stunning gown. I absolutely love it. Which was your favorite from today's video? Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a very happy day and a very happy holiday. I'll see you next time. Bye!